Hey everyone, Jordan here at Totally Bored, and today I'll be going through all of the board games that I've rated on Board Game Geek. Now, the reason I want to do this is I've recently updated a lot of the scores that I've given games, and I want to make sure you guys have all of the most up-to-date scores for games that I played. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. One thing to note too is if I played a game one time, you're going to see a note on that game and it says first impression, rating subject to change. Just as the note I put in there, I think that you can totally rate a game the first time you play it, your first impression score, but it's not always indicative of like the final score. You need to play it more than once, in my opinion, to really get a solidified score. So take all of those with a grain of salt. But without further ado, let's get right to it. And as you can see here, you've probably been looking at some of these already. Let me zoom in a little bit, actually. Can you guys still see that? There we go. So Monopoly. Monopoly is trash. I do not like Monopoly. I've never liked Monopoly. You know, do I respect it? Of course. You know, it's the OG. I don't like it. I don't ever want to play it. But if we look at BGG's scale, if we look at a 3, it says likely won't play this again, although could be convinced. Bad. That is a perfect summary of how I feel about it. If my friends came to me and were like, Jordan, we really want to play Monopoly, would I do it? Yes. Do I want to do it? Not really, but I like my friends. So I would take one for the team and I would play Monopoly. But yeah, that is actually my lowest scored game. I have not played, if we look at number 2, an extremely annoying game. Won't ever play this again. I don't think I've played a game that I feel that way about. And then definitely not a 1, something that you won't catch me dead playing, Clearly Broken. I haven't yet to play a game that bad, but who knows? I'm sure that will change at some point. But moving along, I don't want to stick too long on all these because there's a lot of games here. Let's take a look at Jamaica. So I gave this a 4. Jamaica is a pirate racing game where you're trying to race around the map and you're stealing treasure from people and you're stealing all their goods. And I really didn't like that about this game. That's really just a personal preference. There's a lot of take that. I thought the racing was slow. It was a little boring. I just wasn't really enjoying myself too much. It says a 4 is, it doesn't get me, but could be talked into it on occasion. Could I play it again? I would. I don't really enjoy it though. Tokyo Highway. This is a dexterity game where you are building a highway and you have like little popsicle sticks for the roads and you have little cars that you're putting on the roads and you're weaving them in and out of the other people's in the game's roads. All in all, it was an okay game. One thing I really hate is sort of like Jenga. Once you knock the roads over, everything's all over the place and it's really annoying. But the thing in Jenga is you just lose if you knock it over. In Tokyo Highway, you have to like reconstruct everything, and it really sucked when I did that. I thought about it later when I was a little less frustrated, and I still agreed that I don't think it's a great, I can't say it's a great design. It's just something I don't enjoy in the game. I don't like to have to reconstruct everything, and it takes a long time, and it's just kind of weird. And yeah, I just wasn't a huge fan of it. So I gave Tokyo Highway a 4. Now going on to the 5s, I have a good amount of 5s here. The first one here is Framework. Now this is an Uwe Rosenberg title where you are I believe you're drafting tiles. It's been a while since I played this. I love Uwe Rosenberg, which you will see later. I just thought this game was boring. Not the worst game, just an average game, especially for Uwe's catalog. It was just decent. So I gave that a 5. Let's see, we have Coup on here. Coup is a social deduction game. And I think many of you have probably heard of this game. I think it's okay. I think there are much better social deduction games that are out there that I want to play, like Secret Hitler, Avalon, and so on. So yeah, Coup is decent. Coup is decent. Boop. Now this is a game that I initially liked. I think I had this at like a 7 my first playthrough, and this is what I'm meaning when I play it again. It really can change pretty drastically. You know, I've had games really go up on the second play, and then games go down. Boop is one that went down. I think that it's sort of like this chess-like gameplay with the spin. Is it more like checkers? One of the two. But I think that you know, if I want to play anything like Boop, I'd rather play chess. That's actually what got me into board games, and it just feels a little too similar to me to where I just didn't really enjoy it, and I would always choose chess over this. So yeah, Boop is decent. Illimat, this is a card game. I don't even know how to explain this. This was a couple guys that I play with about once a month, taught me this game, and you are playing with a normal deck of cards, but then you have to, you have like 4 quadrants. I'll try to throw up some pictures on here. Actually, I can just bring it up. I forget I'm on here, so I can just show you guys. And the cards that get played down kind of determine what season you're in, I believe, and then you can draft cards, and then you're trying to get like matches and so on. It was okay, a little, I don't know if I'd say convoluted. It was a decent game, not something I was really fascinated by. Would play it again if they wanted to. I thought it was okay. But yeah, that's Illimat. This is kind of a not so popular game. Next up, we have Next Station Tokyo. This is a roll and write. I might as well start pulling these up. A roll and write. I played this on BGA several times. I think it's okay. As far as roll and writes go, I really, really love Railroad Inc., which you'll see on here. And I remember playing Railroad Inc., and then back to back I played this, and I just did not have nearly as much fun with this game. It was just decent. So that is Next Station Tokyo. Red Dragon Inn is a fun little party. I don't even know. Would you say it's a party game? Maybe. Sort of this party type game where you have your own deck of cards, your own character, and you are trying to drink as much alcohol as you can and not pass out. You have health, and then you have alcohol content. I believe whenever they meet, you are essentially passed out. So it's a fun little kind of quirky game. Obviously a ton of luck, a lot of take that, a lot of things I don't really like in games. So this game I am giving a 5. Oh my gosh, I just closed out of it. Dang it. Boomer move. Let's see. We got Age of Civilization. This is a really tiny box, sort of, I don't know. It does have some engine building in it. Okay, these are a lot of pictures of some cool people. Where's the game at? And you have a lot of different civilizations that you are trying to basically like recruit. I don't know the right draft. And they all have their own abilities. And then you have the player board here, which has this little track which is moving throughout the course of the game, and it allows you to take different actions. It's good. I definitely need to play this one again. I've only played this once. This is a very strong rating subject to change. My first game did not go well. Really couldn't see where the engine building was taking place, and just wasn't a huge fan of that. So that is Age of Civilization. We have Machi Koro. This is a popular game. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about this. This is a game where you're trying to develop a city by buying cards, and it sort of has this engine building-ish type of gameplay. And yeah, it's okay. Not a huge fan of it, but it was decent. So as with most of these 5s. I'm going to skip over some of these here. Sequoia and Mountain Goats, these are both in the same collection of games. I don't think they're the same designers, but very lightweight games. Sequoia is an area control game. Mountain Goats is a King of the Hill. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. King of the Hill type gameplay. And yeah, very straightforward, sort of a filler game. Not something I'm really itching to come back to. The Mind, this is decent. This is a game where you are playing cards. You have numbers. You and the other players have different cards that have numbers on them, and you are trying to play them in order, but you can't talk. So it's fun, but this is very dependent on the group. But regardless, I think even I've had really fun groups with this, and it's okay, but not my favorite. Bristol 1350. This is a game, very, very luck-based game, which is nothing wrong with some luck, where you are trying not to get the, the plague. You can't get the plague. And it's sort of like a deduction game in a sense. Cool box. I think it looks really cool, like a little book that you can have on your shelf. It's just too, I don't know. It was too luck-based, too crazy for me to really enjoy it. But it was okay for what it was. Now we have Raycolt. Now this is another Uwe title, which I was a little underwhelmed on. And this is a farming game, which is no surprise for an Uwe title. But I felt like this game really struggled, at least I struggled to really get the engine going. This is a worker placement game too. And I feel like the spots on the worker placement mat just weren't, I don't know, they were very clearly spots that were just way better than other spots. And, I remember going last, and it's just the worst because everyone takes the best spots. And I didn't like that about it. I also thought the just overall mechanisms felt a little clunky to me, and wasn't a huge fan, but I would play it again. Blank Slate. This is essentially just one knockoff. It's okay. Would much rather play Just One. You're trying to, you give clues and any duplicates get erased. I mean, it's seriously almost just like Just One. Codenames. This is maybe a little controversial. I don't like Codenames that much. It's okay. It is too much downtime for me for a game like this. I think there are better games that I prefer more to this game. Like Chameleon, I think it obviously is a different style of game, but yeah, I don't know. Codenames just never hit with me. I played it, well, let's see, 4 times, and I just never loved it. So yeah, gave it a 5. And then Catan, this is my last 5. Catan's all right. This is the epitome of a 5 for me. It's just very average, a little too long for me. The strategy's, it's fun enough, very easy to get people who have maybe never played a board game into it. It's obviously a classic gateway game. So, yep, Catan is getting a 5 for me. So let's go up to the 6s here. Now I have a good amount of 6s. Yeah, I have a lot of 6s. So we'll try to move a little quick. First one, Aeon's End. Now this is a game my buddy really loves. He was sad to hear my score of this. I gave Aeon's End a 6, which let's see what BGG says. It's an okay game, some fun or challenge, will play sporadically. Yep, that's pretty much exactly how I feel about Aeon's End. This is a living card game, or is it technically a living card game? I don't know. It's very similar to games like Marvel Champions, where you are taking control of a mage and you're fighting big monsters and you're trying to protect a town. You have decks of, or you have spells and different things that you can buy and add to your arsenal. And it's cool. I think thematically it's fun. I didn't like some of the mechanisms here. I thought it was a little slow, a little boring, honestly. That's the best way I could put it. But I would definitely play it again. I know my friend Austin really likes it, so shout out Austin. We will definitely get this again. And, this is a game that I've only played once, so that could definitely determine or this could definitely go up or down, I should say. Okay, Splendors. So I'm just rating these together. Splendor's cool. Played these once each, so I played a Splendor twice, effectively. And yeah, it's okay. You are buying these little tokens, like poker chip things, and you're trying to get sets of them. And yeah, Splendor's cool. I'm sure most of you guys have heard of Splendor. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I can't say I dislike it because I gave it a 6, but I just think that there's not a lot of depth to it, and there's not supposed to be, obviously it's a pretty lightweight game, but something about it, I don't know. I do think I did prefer the Marvel a little more, maybe the theme of it, but all in all, gave it a 6. Robo Rally, this is straight up like Robot Wars. If you guys used to watch that show on, what was it, like G4? I forget the channel, but you are playing as these little robots, and you have to program your move. So you will perform your move as a robot. You might have your robot go forward twice and then left 1. And then these little conveyor belts will all at once, everybody's gonna move their robot according to where they landed on these conveyor belts. And it makes for this really fun turn because you think you know where your robot's gonna go, and then these conveyor belts jack you up. And then yeah, it's really fun, chaotic mess, but I liked it. I thought it was a cute game. Definitely would play it again. A little too much randomness for me, but yeah, it was pretty good. Let's see, Nexus Ops. This is a game my buddy showed me. His name's Drift, and we played this. It kind of reminds me of a really, really light version of Twilight Imperium, where you are taking control of an army, and you have this board here with a central area you're trying to control, just like Twilight Imperium. And you have little soldiers that you are purchasing, and they can travel along the map, and several different types of units you can recruit, and they do different things and have different strengths and weaknesses and all that. But I found myself, I don't think it took too long when we played, but I was like, I'd rather just play Twilight Imperium, even though Twilight's 7 hours long. It just made me want to play Twilight Imperium. So yeah, I gave it a 6. Bananagrams, this is a fun little word game, straightforward. You are just trying to race to create your little crossword thing the fastest. And yeah, it's fun. It's a fun little game. I enjoyed it. Not my favorite, but yeah, it's pretty good. Too Many Bones. This is another one my friend was sad that I gave a 6. Too Many Bones, man, I went into this very blank slate, didn't know anything about the game, wasn't impressed, really. Yeah, I thought it was better than average. Obviously, I gave it a 6, but some things that kept it from getting a 7 were I thought I'm not a huge fan of the art, but I also wasn't sold on the combat mat. Let's see if I can find a better picture of it. Yeah, right here. I don't know. It just felt weird using like poker chips. It didn't feel like thematic, and something about it just turned me off a little bit. It also took like 5 to 6 hours for 2 people, which we were learning the game, but it was a lot. One thing I did like though is the dice rolling. So you roll dice to determine like what your character can do. But the good thing is if you roll these bones, they don't do anything, but what they can do is essentially charge up abilities that your character has. So there's really no terrible rolls. Of course, you can get things you don't want to get, but there's always sort of ways to mitigate that, and each die has a use, which I did appreciate that about the game. Sorcerer City, this is a fun little game where you are creating a sorcerer town. Very straightforward game. I thought it was decent. Hibachi, this is I don't know if you say dexterity game, maybe? Is that what they would call it? Yeah, okay. So you have a board which has like a bunch of different ingredients on it, and you are trying to buy these ingredients to then create or make a certain dish. And how you do that is you have these little chips here, and you literally like throw them on the board. You like frisbee them on the board. And if they land over an ingredient, you get that, but you can get knocked off. You know, people can mess you up, and it's really cool. I actually did like this a good amount. I just think dexterity games aren't my cup of tea always. So yeah, I gave it a 6. Raw. Now this is one that went down a little bit initially. So I've only played it once, but I initially gave it a 7, I believe. And I settled on a 6 just because, it is good. I think I just am not the biggest fan of what is it called? Not drafting, but bidding games. And I will say, I have to be transparent, this play was affected because the one time I played it, a couple of the players did not have a good experience, and it was like very clear. And so it made it just not, it took me out a little bit from the experience. It wasn't their fault, but it was just like, I couldn't really focus on the game as much as I wanted to, just because it was not a good experience for a couple of the other players. So gave Raw a 6. Need to play it again, though. I know tons of people rave about this game all the time, and it's a 30-year-old game almost. So that's crazy how popular it is. Tapestry. This is a Civilization Light game by Jamie Segmeyer and Stonemaier Games. I played this on BGA. I did not play the physical version, although I did own it at one point. And you know, I get a little skeptical now trying things on BGA, just because you don't get the same experience. Playing something physical, like in person, is so different. But my experience from BGA was a 6. I thought the little area control part wasn't the funnest part. It didn't feel very satisfying to me. I did like the little puzzle of your player board. I thought that was cool. Here's the map. Oh no, excuse me. Here's the sort of area control-ish type of thing. But yeah, I thought it was okay. Not my favorite game. I do need to play it again though in person, I think, to get a better feel for the game. But let's see. We have King of Tokyo. This is a luck-based Yahtzee battler where you're taking control of a monster and you're trying to defeat everybody. I like this game. There's another game that involves dice and fighting that I much prefer to this one, which we'll talk about. World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King. Now, this is Pandemic with a World of Warcraft reskin. I would just rather play Pandemic. I gave this a 6. I believe I gave Pandemic a 7, but we'll see here in a little bit what I gave that. And that's mainly just due to the theme being a little more open, and it just makes more sense. It's easier to get to the table. WoW, I've never played. None of my friends really like it except for the guy I played this with. So yeah, gave it a 6. Seven Wonders Duel. This is a hot take, I think. This game, yeah, I gave this a 6. It was... technically, what do they say again? Is it okay? It's an okay game. So yeah, I would say that. I was not wowed by Seven Wonders Duel at all, but I thought it was okay. Very simple card game where you're trying to defeat your opponent by several different ways, through militarily destroying them, from getting different wonders built. There's a sort of tug of war track right here, which I did think was interesting, but yeah, something about it just didn't really hit with me too well. Let's see. Onitama, this is a sort of like a chess-like game where you have a king, or what do they call it? A king, I guess, and 4 pawns. And the moves you can do are determined by the cards that are in the deck. So you have like this one here. Let's see if I can get one that's like right side up here. Can we? Maybe not. Oh, here we go. So you have cards here that you can play, and they'll determine like how your character can move that turn, which I actually do like that spin on it. So there's a good amount of depth, but it has the sort of randomness of the moves you can actually do, which I think is cool. But like I said, again, with Boop, I would just rather play chess at this point. Azul, tile drafting game, very popular. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Something about this game, not in love with. Oh, someone here posted about Under Falling Skies. Interesting. I like Under Falling Skies a lot. But yeah, Azul is a straightforward game. The theme could be anything. I think it's a pretty game. But yeah, it's okay. Not my favorite, but it's decent. ISS Vanguard. This is a thick, chonky boy. This is a popular kind of space exploration type of game where you are on a ship and you're a crew on a ship and you are working your way fighting through monsters. I remember thinking the gameplay was like very clunky. That was what turned me off from this game, from like keeping it, higher rated, I guess. Production is beautiful. The story was pretty interesting, but yeah, it just felt a little too restrictive for my taste, and wasn't bad. I'd definitely play it again, but not my favorite. Cat in the Box Deluxe Edition, or Cat in the Box in general, is this is a trick-taking game with a fun little spin on it, where you have this board here, which can like net you more points depending on which cards that you play. And yeah, this is okay. I don't really like trick-taking games, so you're going to find that out pretty quickly. They're just not my cup of tea. Never really been in love with them. And while we're at it, I think, yeah, we'll skip up here. But The Crew, Mission Deep Sea, I also gave a 6. They're okay games. I don't know. I'd rather play something more strategic. Well, they do have strategy. I guess I think I just don't really like trick-taking games. Simple as that. I think that's what really prevents these from being rated any higher. The Isle of Cats, this is a polyomino game, which I really do enjoy polyomino games. Something about this one, it just feels like there's a little too much going on for my taste for a polyomino game. There's a lot of, it's just point salad, which is, I'm usually I don't care about, that's fine. But, just not my favorite polyomino game. Yeah, there's some others on this list that I just prefer. So, let's see, Earth. Earth is... This was like the hotness in 2023, man. This is a game that I've only played once. Keep that in mind. I was not impressed by this game, though. Not nearly as much as I was hoping. So this gets compared a lot to other popular ones like, Terraforming Mars. What else? Ark Nova? Not really. But it is a sort of tableau builder. And I do like the fact that in this game, you get to do actions even when it's not your turn. So when it's the starting player's turn, they take a main action and you get to do like a sort of little secondary one. So I thought that was really cool. I do definitely need to play this game again. Something about it, I don't know, just didn't tick with me that well. So we'll have to revisit this one and see that this is definitely subject to change. All right, next up we have Ticket to Ride. Now, hugely popular game, very easy game to learn and to get into. This is many people's gateway games where you're trying to build your network of trains across the country, and you get the most points at the end of the game, you win. Fun game, just not. I've played it a good amount. I've played it more than 3 times for sure. I think this is just when I started logging games, and it's good. It's good fun. I like it more than Catan, so gave it a 6. King Domino, this is a really lightweight, it's like dominoes, but with a reskin, and adds a little more strategy with like the different tiles. They have different terrain on them, and you get points depending on how you can match up the terrain and stuff. So I thought it's cool. It's a fun little casual game. Takes like 15 minutes. So, okay, now we got 6.5s. We got a good little amount of 6.5s here. These are games that I think were almost 7s, which a 7 would be technically a good game, usually willing to play. Not quite there, though. These games are games that I'm not always willing to play. I definitely have some resistance to them in some way. Tang Garden, this is a game my friend David introduced me to. Very beautiful game. It's been a while since I played this, but I believe you are trying to... you're drafting tiles and then placing them down, and then depending on where you place them, you get points. I thought it was beautiful, just the gameplay like loop. I don't know. It just wasn't the funnest experience, but I didn't. It was okay. It was a decent game. Let's see. Istanbul Classic. Ooh, played this once. So this is definitely also subject to change. I feel like the problem I had with this game is I felt like after the first play, I just sort of felt like I had seen everything, I guess. You have these different locations, and you have your main kind of merchant or whatever, and then the merchant has workers, and you're bouncing along the different locations, placing your workers down. Then you have to go pick them up if you run out. So a lot of moving around, there is actually a lot of strategy involved in that. But again, just kind of felt like I'd seen everything after the first play. So it's getting a 6.5 for me. This one was kind of sad. I love Lord of the Rings. It's my favorite IP. The card game though, a lot of people love this game. I don't know. What was it about this that I did? It was just like the theme didn't come through well. I wasn't sure how much I liked controlling 3 people. It also was very, very dependent on like building your deck and constructing your deck, which that just comes down to personal preference, I think. You also do that in games like Marvel Champions, but I don't know. Lord of the Rings is just harder to do it in. It just feels more difficult. In Marvel Champions, I can throw a deck together, find some cards I think are sweet, throw them in there, and probably have a pretty good time. But it was just more challenging in Lord of the Rings, so giving it a 6.5. Cascadia, also very popular, came out in 2021. It's 45 overall, which is crazy. This is a fun little tile drafting game where you are placing down these tiles, trying to make various terrain that's going to net you the most points. You also have little tokens that are going to go on top of some of these tiles, and depending on the kind of configuration of the tokens, how you place them, they're going to get you different points. So right here, if we had 3 deer tokens in this shape, I would get me 9 points at the end of the game. It was okay. I need to play it again. Yeah, it was like just close enough to being like, I was like, wow, that's a good game. It wasn't quite there, but it's very close. Flamecraft, very similar to Cascadia, my feelings. Different game, of course, where you have like a whole dragon village, or like a village, but you fill them with dragons, and you're trying to go visit different booths and buy or get resources and buy different things. And Flamecraft is cute. I think the production outshined the gameplay for me, but it was a game that I did enjoy, and I would definitely play again. Jaipur. Now, Jaipur is a game where you're also a merchant, so similar to a couple games we've already talked about. What the heck was that? What is this, like space Jaipur? Okay. And you are trying to get different materials like textiles, like food, and you're trying to sell them to the market and make the most money. Very straightforward, very easy to play, and a game that I do enjoy. There's some other card games that I prefer, but yeah, Jaipur's fun. Camel Up. This has got a 6.5, mostly just because I prefer Ready, Set, Bet. This is a game where you're betting on a camel race. It's really fun, I think, for kids. It's a great game, but Ready, Set, Bet is effectively horse race betting in the form of a board game, and I just have more fun with it. I think more of my friends find it more appealing too, so yeah. And then lastly, Architects of the West Kingdom. This is a Shem Phillips game, which I love Shem Phillips. This game's not bad by any means, but it's a worker placement game where you start with like 30 workers, and I felt like it was just a little too much for me, a little overwhelming. The strategy was, these are all personal issues, but that's why it's my own rating, right? Some of the strategy was hard for me to figure out. So for those reasons, I gave Architects a 6.5. All right, going through the 7s. The Chameleon. This is a game, a social deduction game. I really enjoy this. You have like however many players are in the game, and you have one person who's the chameleon, and they are trying to blend in with everyone. You have these category cards that are like this one, for example, says movies. It has all kinds of different movies on it. And normally, if you're not the chameleon, you're going to have this card which will tell you which word is like the secret clue. But the chameleon has a blank card. They can't oh, this card right here. They can't see, like, they don't know the secret word. So then there's a round where you all go in a circle and you have to give a hint to the secret word. And if you're the chameleon, you have to just like on the fly kind of base your word that you give off of what other people are saying. And it also really sucks when you go first because you have no idea what the word is. But I actually really enjoyed the chameleon. It's a fun game. Dominion, classic OG deck builder. Dominion's fun. I have this at a 7. It's just very straightforward deck building. And yeah, it's a good game. Railroad Inc. and Railroad Inc. I think I have 2. Deep Blue and Blazing Red. These are the same games. Gave these a 7. I played these games 84 times, it looks like. But yeah, this is like a really easy roll and write where you're trying to connect and make the longest road while at the same time making the longest railroad. And yeah, just a fun little game I can play in like less than 10 minutes. Fun little time killer. The IRL version takes a lot longer than that. But I enjoyed this game a lot. This one's a fun one. Love Letter. This is a social deduction game where you are playing cards that are going to be, here we go. We have like the spy and the chancellor and the princess. What the heck? And they're going to have different abilities. And at the end of the day, you're trying to either be the player with the highest card in your hand at the end of the round, or have the princess in your hand, which actually, no, that something's off there. I'm missing one of the win conditions. But I do like this game. Very easy to get to the table. I played this with my parents and my sisters all throughout the holidays, and they loved it. So yeah, Love Letter is a good one. Endless Winter, this is a game where you are doing a ton of things. This is like minigame heaven. If you're a fan of minigames in games, you're going to like this game a lot. There are so many things you can do in the game, but effectively you're trying to be like let's read it because I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. You're trying to grow your population and build megaliths during an endless winter. You can do things like hunting. You can build those megaliths like they just mentioned, which are right here, I believe, which is a fun little like puzzle in itself. You have the area control right here. You have the hunting is more like set collection. So there's a ton of mechanisms in this game. Only played it once. I think this would be a game that would definitely go higher, I think, if I played this more. But my initial impressions were it was a solid 7. Next up, we have Arkham Horror, the card game. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of this one too. Very popular living card game where you're taking control of an investigator and you're trying to figure out a crazy case. It involves, insane monsters. It's set in that H.P. Lovecraftian universe, which a lot of people enjoy. And I think it's a good game. Yeah, I played through one of the campaigns with my friend John, and it was fun. I do prefer I prefer Marvel Champions, which you'll see here in a little bit, to this game, but it's fun. I'm also not big on H.P. Lovecraft, so that's probably why this is a little not quite as high up for me. Sea Salt and Paper, this is sort of a newer game where you are, I like this a lot. I don't know, it reminds me of like a Go Fish for adults, but you have these several different cards and you're trying to get matches of these cards. And whenever you play 2 cards that match, they're going to do a certain ability. So if you play these 2 cards, these 2 right here, if you play these, you will be able to steal a random card from any opponent's hand. I think another one lets you play another turn right back to back. And ultimately, you're trying to have the most points at the end of the game. There's also sort of like some bluffing mechanics in there, which I like a lot. So yeah, Sea Salt and Paper is good. I like this game. Fort. Fort is a really cute game where you are trying to build the best fort. You're trying to have the best friends and attract friends to your yard. You're collecting resources in the game like pizza and toys, I believe. So I talked about not really enjoying Take That. There's a good amount of Take That in this game, but I don't know. Something about the theme just really draws me in. I think it's just a fun theme that I've played with, my nephew and my roommate, and we just have a good time. And it's pretty short too. So yeah, I like Fort. Fort's a good one. Life of the Amazonia. This is a newer game. This is the first bag builder I ever played, actually, where you are trying to build up and grow your forest or your rainforest, Amazon rainforest, and attract animals and put them in there. Similarly to Cascadia, you're going to get scored based on various conditions based on those animals. And then the bag building is going to allow you to get more resources, more food for the animals, more money. And it was good. It took a long time. I think that's what knocked this down a little bit for me. I think for the experience and what I got out of it, it was a little too long and drug on quite a bit, but it was good. I do want to play this again. Star Realms, excuse me. This is another core deck builder, sort of like Dominion, set in space. Very easy to understand, easy rules overhead. And yeah, I think this is a good game. Gave it a 7 out of 10. I think it's solid. Star Wars X-Wing. This is a miniatures game, a miniatures dogfighting game set in the Star Wars universe, of course. I just have the little base set with 2 TIE fighters and 1 X-Wing fighter. And yeah, this game's fun. It kind of reminds me of chess in the sense of, there's a phase where you and your opponent have these little dials which determine movement and like how your ship will actually move. And then you reveal them at the same time. And then, well, not the same time, I don't think, but whoever goes first, like, reveals it, and then they move their fighter. So whoever's going second, you can't change your move after the first player's gone, but they get to see and kind of determine like where they're going to move your ship. And whenever you move your ship, you like actually have this little ruler thing. Let's see if I can find a picture of it. Well, either way, you actually have to like lay this ruler down and then like trace it basically with your ship, and it determines like where it can go, and it's fun. I like this game. Yeah, I think I played this more than twice, I think. But I think this could potentially go up. This could go up the more I play this. Marvel United. This is a game I got for $8 on Amazon. It was, I don't know if it was a pricing error, but I got this and an expansion into the Spider-Verse expansion. And very easy to play, easy to table. The setup's a little bit longer than I want it to be, but you have these different locations right here, and you have one kind of main boss, and then you're going around as the heroes, and you're working to to save civilians, defeat thugs, and then stop the main enemy from like, completing their plans or whatever. Fun game. I prefer another Marvel game, which I've already mentioned like 3 times, but yeah, it's solid. So Clover. Now this is a fun little party game where you're giving hints based on a set of words, and you're trying to get your teammates to guess them. I think this is a fun game. I do prefer Just One to this, but this was actually pretty solid, and I have this at a 7. We have Cartographers. This is a roll and write where you're mapping out a countryside, a little area, and you have some goblins that can come and attack you. So it's a fun little element there. And I like this. It's a good game, fun roll and write. And yeah, have this at a 7 as well. Black Orchestra. This is basically Horrified, but reskinned to where you're trying to kill Hitler. So way different vibe, but like very, very similar to Horrified. So if you're a fan of Horrified, I think you will like this one. Clank in Space. This is the first Clank that I played. I really like Clank, especially Catacombs. And yeah, this was fun. I think the main reason I gave this a 7 is I'm not too big on space themes. I think the board, while it is modular, doesn't have as much variability as I would want in a game like this, but it's still good. I still enjoyed it. Castles of Burgundy. This is a game that I could definitely see going up with more plays. Classic, where you have a kingdom that you're effectively building out, and you're using dice to kind of determine where you can build and what you can build. This game's super popular. So many of my friends, it's like their number one. Like several of my friends love this game. So need to play it again. Only played it once, but I did enjoy it. Lost Ruins of Arnak. This is a game that I've only played on BGA. So similarly to Tapestry, I need to play this again just because BGA, this was the first one I played, I think. But I think I played this before Tapestry. But either way, it didn't really hit with me. It didn't like wow me at all. But I do have it in person, so I just need to table it and maybe play it solo or play it with my friend. And try this one again. Heat Pedal to the Metal. This went down. I think I had this at an 8 at one point, maybe an 8.5. But the more I played it, I've also played this more than twice, so my logs are off a little bit there. It's good, but I just don't really see myself coming back to it all the time. Would I ever turn it down? No. A lot of my friends just didn't really like it. I think that maybe affected somewhat, as far as how often I want to play it, because I don't want to sit there and try to convince them to play a game they don't really like. So, I did lower Heat down to a 7. Final Girl. This is a game where you are taking control of a female protagonist trying to survive an evil killer. There's a lot of different killers in the game that are kind of inspired by popular horror films. You have like Hans the Butcher, you have the Poltergeist, you have I forget, it's basically Freddy Krueger, but it's not. And this was good. It was very hard. Quite a bit of luck involved. very punishing, and it could snowball out of control often. But I did like it. I think the main thing is solo games I just have a hard time coming back to, just because I want to play with my friends more often than not. Wingspan, this needs no introduction. It's an okay game. Not okay. It's better than okay. I do like the game, but the theme is a little off-putting for me. Birds are cool, just not something. I'm a dork. I want to have like a theme that I'm really, really into. That's why I actually prefer Wormspan a little bit more than this. But mechanically, it's fun. I also wasn't a huge fan of like the egg strategy, which I never look up strategy. I just immediately, when I played the game, could tell that was like the best thing to do. And I played this like twice, so I could be way off the mark there. But I didn't like how I could cheese something so strongly, like my first playthrough. And going to Wingspan, which we'll touch on, that kind of fixed some of those issues for me, which is why it's a little higher rated. Raccoon Tycoon. I love the art on this game. It's hilarious. But you're trying to be the wealthiest tycoon in this land. And what I like about it is you have this sort of bidding whole like market, which I've talked a little bit about not loving bidding games, but they do it really well in this because you are getting various resources like wood and iron and luxury items and things like that. And you can really, really impact the market depending on when you buy, when you sell. And I like that a lot about it. You also have an actual auction where you're trying to buy different railroads, and you go around in a circle and you have to bid, and whoever, wins the bid gains that card, which can, give them more victory points later down the road. This is a fun game. I like Raccoon Tycoon for sure. Patchwork and Patchwork Express, both popular polyomino games from Uwe Rosenberg. And this is a classic. I love this game. Do I love this game? I like this game a good amount. I don't love it. It's not like a 10 for me, but it's good. I played this with my mom a lot, so good memories there. I don't really play this with anyone else other than my mom, so that's maybe why this isn't higher rated, but it is. Both of these are good games. Pandemic, I already touched on this. This is a 7 for me, a little bit higher up than the World of Warcraft reskin. And yeah, it's a good game. Good game overall. Horrified. Now, I talked about this a little bit. This is the American Monsters version. Very comparable to Black Orchestra, just a different theme, but you are different characters set in this town where popular monsters are breaking out. In this version, it's going to be like the Chupacabra. You have the Ozarka Howler and like Bigfoot. And to defeat them, each monster has their own set of like puzzles and stuff, which is very fun. And Horrified's good. It's a good game. I think very like good entry level game for people who don't really play board games a lot. Now going into the 7.5s, we'll start with Quacks of Quedlinburg. This is a push your luck game where you are like are you a witch? I don't think you're a witch, but you are like a person who's creating potions that you're trying to like sell at this little town, Quedlinburg, and you're drawing these tokens out of a bag. So it is a bag builder, and these tokens are going to allow you to fill up your cauldron. And the further you're able to fill out your cauldron, the more points you're going to get. And I actually really enjoy this game. It's just chaotic fun. If you draw too many of these white little cherry bombs, your character blows up and you like lose points and stuff. So yeah, this game's fun. I like this game. Sky Team. Now, I've only played this on BGA, and this was actually a good experience on BGA, but you are working together as a pilot along with your co-pilot, and you are trying to land your plane. And you're going to be doing that by rolling dice and then placing these dice in various locations along the cockpit. The fun part about this is you actually can't talk during the part where you and your co-pilot are placing these dice. Thematically, some people found that weird, but the whole thing why I like it is because, if imagine like you're actually flying a plane, you're not going to be talking the whole time. You're going to be instinctively and naturally doing things. So I don't know. For me, it didn't like take me out of the game at all, but it was actually really fun. I like this game a lot. I do want to get the physical version of this. But it's a, pretty short game as well. I think it's easy to play and just a fun, like just very unique idea. So that is Sky Team. Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. This is a social deduction game where you're trying to solve a murder, and one person is giving you clues the whole time, or whoever's not the murderer, you're going to be receiving clues, and you're trying to figure out who the murderer is. And then if you are the murderer, you're trying to kind of deflect, and you're trying to pin it on someone else or whatever. And this was fun. I enjoyed this game quite a bit. Terraforming Mars and Terraforming Mars Expedition, Ares Expedition. These are games that I've lowered. At one point, I think I had at least Terraforming Mars at like an 8.5. It went down quite a bit. I played it 7 times roughly. I think it is a good game, a great engine builder. It's just something that when I want to play a heavy Euro, I just don't find myself choosing this one very often, but I can still recognize a good game when I see one, and Terraforming Mars is a very, very good game. But a little long. I think that's what keeps this from being like a really, really great game, in my opinion, is that it's just really long towards the late game. People get their tableaus built up and they're pinging off like 20 different cards, and it's great when you're that person, but when you're waiting, you're kind of just, I don't know, it just drags on a little bit for me. So that's why this game is a little bit lower rated than some might expect. Ares Expedition, I think I prefer this more. It does sort of take that area control out. Well, it does take it out of the game. So you don't have that central board with a bunch of different cities and stuff, but I think it's just faster. I like being able to choose which phase I'm playing that round. I think that's fun. And yeah, those games, both, I feel like after giving it some thought, I feel about the same about these games. Would I play them? Yes. Are they my favorite? Not quite. Next up, we have Ready, Set, Bet. This is, like I talked about already, a horse race betting game. I like this game a lot. This is one of my favorite party games to play whenever I have enough people to play it with. Terra Mystica. This is a game where you're taking control of a different faction, and you're trying to, wow, that picture was very blurry. You're trying to build up your city and your faction's like area across the map. And it has a lot of really cool, like positive player interaction. If you build close to people, they're going to earn power, which allows them to do more things on their turn. So it has that positive player interaction, but you can't get too buddy because you can like block people off from where they want to build. So it's pretty tense. I do like the game. It also drags quite a bit. I think that's what keeps this from being a little higher for me. Root also doesn't really need an introduction, but this is a war game filled with cute little art. And you are taking control of one of 4 different factions in the base game. And each faction plays very, very differently, and it's going to have different win conditions. And I do like this game. I played it digitally, and I prefer it digital for sure. I'm also able to like learn the game and play it solo if I want. But this is fun. It's challenging. It being asymmetric, it's a pretty rough teach. I've not nearly played this enough. I played it 7 times, but I still don't feel comfortable like teaching this to a new player. It's a game where you really need to know like all of the factions. Moving along here, we have Spirit Island. This is a game at one point that I had rated much higher than this. Still a great game, just something that I have played a lot, and I think I've still enjoy. Would definitely play it, if someone came up to me and asked me to, but I've seen a lot of it, and I don't really see myself coming back to it super frequently, but I do love the idea that you are this really powerful spirit, and you're trying to protect your island and stave off these, what do they call them, invaders, who are coming into your island and causing blight and killing natives. So it's like the antithesis to Catan, which I do like that a lot about this game. Quest for El Dorado. I believe this might have went down a little bit. This is a Knizia game where you are racing through various terrains trying to find the lost city of gold. And it is a deck builder, which I do like this a lot about this game. It's a very approachable deck builder. It seems like from this picture, if I was like brand new to board games, I'd be like, whoa, what the heck is this? But it's actually easy to teach, easy to understand, and just a fun, light game. So yeah, it's a great game. Gloomhaven. Now, Gloomhaven, I've talked about several times. I have this at a 7.5. This is a kind of dungeon crawler game, very similar to like Diablo, if you ever played the video game. Cool game. Really love the mechanics. Story's not great. Not interested in the story at all. I prefer Jaws of the Lion, which we'll get to. It's a little bit higher rated just because it's more approachable. It's shorter, which actually is, I prefer that in this game specifically. So we'll get to that here in a bit. And then we have Dead of Winter. This is a sort of social deduction game where you're trying to survive a zombie apocalypse coupled with a freezing winter that is taking everybody out. In this game, you have your own private objective, but there could be one person who's trying to betray the colony. You don't know who they are, and you're trying to reveal that person. And yeah, this is a good game. This has been a game I played quite a bit with some work friends. They all love it, and it's a good game. I like it a lot. Here we have Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid, which is actually set up right behind me. Whoops, there we go, right here. I'm actually really liking this game. This could go up, but for now I have this at an 8. It's a game that I find really enjoyable, super nostalgic. In the game, you're taking control of your favorite Power Ranger, and you have this board, which is like a central board. It's no one have a picture of it. Well, I don't know if you can see it behind me. I'll try to find a picture, but basically you can move your character and initiate battles, and you're fighting off putties and bosses, famous bosses like Rita Repulsa, Lord Zed, and so on. And this game's just really fun. It is definitely, I think the theme helps a lot. It's just a nostalgia trip, 100%. But it's good. I like this game a lot. Mansions of Madness. This is a game where you are exploring a mansion, and similar to Arkham Horror, you're taking control of an investigator and you're going through various scenarios. It does use an app, which I typically am not a huge fan of, but it actually makes the game. It just does help. I think it adds to the game, which is a rare thing I typically just never want to use my phone when I'm playing a board game unless I'm logging the game, but I don't feel bad about using it in this one. And it's just fun. It's a fun, challenging game. Expeditions, this went down a little bit. This went down from an 8.5 to an 8. This is a game set in the Scythe universe where you are exploring the area. There are weird things happening. Meteorites are coming down and like weird darkness is spreading through the land, and you're trying to go on an expedition and figure out what the heck's going on. Really enjoy the engine building in this game. Relatively fast gameplay, especially at like 2 to 3 players. 4 players, it starts to get a little long, but I do like this one a lot. You can check my review, which I'll post, by the way, if you want my full thoughts on the game. Now, Wormspan. I talked about Wingspan. My same thoughts basically come over to this game, but I do think the theme makes this game a little stronger for me. I think the eggs are harder to get in this game, and they're like more important. They feel like really, really important. And I like that tightness of resources in this game. And all in all, yeah, I just prefer the game. There's also a Dragon Guild, which adds another element, which is not seen in Wingspan. And all in all, this bumped it up a whole point over Wingspan. Apiary is a game by Connie Vogelman where you are controlling bees in space, and you're doing a lot of things. You're exploring the galaxy. You are creating and hiring new ants and new buildings in your guild, I guess. But yeah, this game's really fun as well. We have the White Castle. This is a sort of dice drafting game set in Japan where you are trying to make sure your clan gets the fame that it deserves, essentially. Yeah, this game is really fun, and it plays in like an hour or less, even with like 4 players. So really, really good game. Star Wars, the deck building game. I've also talked about this one a lot. This is just a very straightforward. It actually uses the same kind of like mechanism. Like, how can I say it? It's basically Star Realms, but reskinned as Star Wars. And there are new elements to it. It adds a force track, which right here, which can kind of buff up certain cards if the force is with you on your side of the board. And all in all, it's Star Wars, really fun game. Watergate is a sort of tug of war style game where you are either playing as the Nixon administration trying to cover up the Watergate scandal, or you are the press trying to bring it to light. I really like this game. This is a good game. It's fast. It's easy. The theme is weird. Like, people aren't really used to see. When I show my friends who don't play board games, they're like, what? It's about Watergate? That's so weird. But it works really well. And I like the cards. I like the education behind it. So yeah, Watergate's great. I like this game a lot. Mage Knight. Amazing game as well. Super long. That's one of the only things that keeps this game from tabling so often. It's just so long, like it's so long. 5 hours easily for me, at least. Maybe I'm terrible at the game and slow. It's also really hard, really, really hard. But the art's cool. I think it's like a weird style, but I like it a lot. Yeah, Mage Knight's a classic. It is a classic. Okay, so one of my favorite Polyomino games is Planet Unknown. This is a game where you are trying to terraform a planet, and similar to terraforming Mars, but not at all. You're playing as your own corporation, and you have like asymmetric abilities. But at the end of the day, you are kind of drafting, I guess. You're not drafting, but you're choosing a Polyomino tile from this Lazy Susan in the game, and then you will
place it down on your map, and every other player on their, even on your turn, they're also going to get a tile, depending on where the Lazy Susan stops in front of their marker, which is cool. And yeah, Planet Unknown's great. Gaia Project, I have this over Terra Mystica a little bit. This is essentially the same game with the space reskin. It does add some pretty significant changes to the tech tree or the tech track. Let's see if am I going to be able to find it? Yes, this thing right here, which you can't really see super well, but this allows a lot of variation to the gameplay. It adds a lot more like kind of importance to whenever you level up in these little areas, and I like it a lot. Gaia Project is really good. Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth. Now, this is basically Mansions of Madness with a Lord of the Rings reskin, which I love Lord of the Rings, and I like Mansions of Madness, so this is getting the same score. I like this one a lot. I think I play Mansions more just because less of my friends are into Lord of the Rings like I am. So let's see, Skate Summer. This is my favorite push your luck game. I believe this is probably my number one. I do like this more than Quacks of Quedlinburg. I also skateboard. I have been skateboarding since I was 11, so like over 20 years. So that definitely adds to this. This feels like you're playing Tony Hawk. It's great. You're performing tricks, and then you have to roll dice depending on how many tricks you do, and then you have like a little balance meter which moves depending on what the outcome of the dice is, and it's really good. I love Skate Summer. Just One, talked about this already. This is getting an 8. One of my favorite party games for sure. You choose a word when it's your turn. I like to say I chose snow, and everyone else has to write a clue on their little board. And if there are any duplicate clues, they have to erase them, and then then they show it to the person who chose the word. And the clue might be, the clues might be white, cold, blah, blah, blah. And I have to like put that together and figure out the secret word. So really super, super accessible game. You can play this with like anyone. Super easy to wrap your head around, and it's great. Love it. Under Falling Skies, one of the only solo games I really, really enjoy. This is basically Space Invaders, where you're trying to destroy a mothership and alien ships that are coming down to attack the city, and it's really good. I love the just the variation in the game. You roll these set of dice, and you are able to put them in your bunker, and depending on where you put them, that determines like what it's going to do. So like this one here, this player has a 3 die in an energy room, so he's going to get 3 energy, I believe, on his turn. This one actually in particular is a little different because he needs 1 more dice here. But anyways, tons of variation in the gameplay, and just overall fun. I see myself craving this game like every so often, and for that reason I have this at an 8. Okay, next up we have Monikers. Now this is one of my favorite party games as well, along with Just One. And in this game, you're working with your team to guess a certain keyword that's on one of the cards. And there's different rounds, which makes this really fun. So in the first round, you have, let's say the words, Zelda. You can use words in the first round to describe the secret word to your team. And then in the second round, you're only able to use 1 word to describe this word. So I might use Link. That's like an easy way for someone to guess Zelda. And then in the third round, you're not able to use any words. It basically becomes charades. And yeah, it's just chaotic fun. I like Monikers a lot. And then we have Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. This is, as I talked about earlier, I have this a little higher than the OG Gloomhaven just because of the accessibility. It's shorter, easier to get to the table, and all in all, just a better experience for me. Ooh, all right. So we got the 8.5s coming up next. There's not too many of these, but we're going to start with a big one here. This is Twilight Imperium, 4th edition. Now, in this game, you are taking control of an asymmetric faction, and you are trying to take control of Mechatol Rex, which is the central kind of city of the solar system, and you have tons of enemies and different factions around you. You're trying to balance between, being cooperative and then, at some point determining if it's worth going to war with them. It's a very punishing game, tons of freedom, very open, excellent game. Have this at an 8.5. This could be higher, but it does really shine at like, I think 5 to 6 players. So it's just realistically just hard for me to find time to play this and organize a group of people who are willing to put this much time into a game, but it is really, really good. Nemesis Lockdown and Nemesis, we're going to do both of these together because I think they're very similar, but you are taking control of a different character set in either a spaceship in Nemesis, the first game, or a Martian facility in Nemesis Lockdown, and you are working semi-cooperatively to complete your objective. And there's all kinds of objectives, but the cool part about this game, in both games, is that you have the option to essentially betray your team, and you can still win the game. That's what is also cool. There can be multiple winners. There can be some winners, some losers in this game. It's really crazy, and just I feel like I'm always on the edge of my seat when I play these games. You never know who's going to just stab you in the back at the last minute. And it really feels like a very thematic experience. Next up, we have Hadrian's Wall. Now, this is my favorite roll and write. And in this game, you're taking control of a Roman general and you're working to defend your portion of Hadrian's Wall. And you are doing a lot of different things in this game. You have a bunch of workers that you are going to be utilizing. You have soldiers who you can go to defend the front line. You have workers who can help build up the wall of your portion of the wall. Of course, you have the inner city, which is going to allow you to use civilians to do things like go to the theater or go trade in the market or go to the different temples and pray and so on. I love this game. It's so good. So good. Give it a shot if you have any interest in it at all. Okay, next up we have the Undaunted series. So I'm giving all of these games an 8.5. These games are awesome, games that I've loved for a long time. It's pretty early on since I've been into the hobby. But you are using a deck of soldiers, which is used to both move around the map as well as like attack your enemy. And you're trying to complete your objective. And often these objectives are asymmetric, so it adds that kind of fun little flair to the gameplay. You do use dice to attack, which adds that chaos and just that kind of Ameritrash flavor that I do like in the game, while it's still being very strategic. And yeah, Undaunted's great. I love Undaunted. Marvel Champions, talked about this like 8 times throughout this video. Marvel Champions is great. This is the living card game that I always find myself coming back to and just wanting to play. I'm not even like the biggest fan of Marvel, but it just does a really good job at staying very thematic. You really feel like you're behind the suit of the superheroes. It is cooperative, which I don't have too many cooperative games in my collection, but this is one I really enjoy bringing out and playing with friends. So Marvel Champions is awesome. And then finally, we have Dune Imperium. Now, there's another Dune on this list, which I have slightly higher, so slight spoiler there. But this is the first game in the Dune Imperium universe where you're taking control of a different character in Dune. So you have the Atreides family, you have the Harkonnens, you have all kinds of people, and you're trying to fight for control of the spice. It is a deck builder worker placement game, just all in all, super, super fun, very tense. You're fighting for 10 victory points. And, every point you get is very, very intense and important. You have a little battle phase throughout the game. So, yeah, Dune Imperium's great. All right, we've made it to the 9s. We are in the final 10, 12 games. So I'm actually going to do these at the same time. This is Star Wars Rebellion and War of the Ring 2nd Edition. Both games have you taking control of either a good faction, so the Free People or the Rebels, or the enemy faction, so you have the Shadow or the Empire, and you are working to complete your objective. If you're the Empire or the Shadow, you're trying to find the good faction and destroy them, basically. And if you are the good factions, in Star Wars, you're trying to outlast the Empire, and in War of the Ring, you're trying to deliver the ring to Mount Doom and destroy it. All in all, these games are so good. By far the most thematic experience I've ever had in any board games, and out of all, even my number 1 games, these are incredible if you're a fan of the universes, and you cannot go wrong playing these. Super tense, and it is long, so slight forewarning. Both times I played, or all the times I played either of these games, it's over 5 hours. So be prepared, but if you're willing to put in that effort and commitment, it's so worth it. Zombicide, this is another game that I've really found a liking to. This is a game where you are taking control of a different character with their own kind of unique abilities, and you are working together to kill zombies. So this is, I feel like, a very similar game to like Left 4 Dead, the video game, if you've ever played that, just in board game form. Super fun. I played this with my sisters, my niece and nephew, and they all love it. I feel like zombies is a very popular theme, one that I really enjoy as well. And yeah, Zombicide's awesome. Love this game. Secret Hitler. This is my favorite party game. This is a social deduction game where you are trying to prevent Hitler from getting into office, and or you need to assassinate Hitler if possible. If Hitler at any point gets elected into the administration after a certain amount of policies are enacted, then he wins, and the fascists have beaten the liberals. And yeah, it's just chaotic fun. I love this game. Played it several times over the holidays, and my entire family loved it so much, which definitely added to my feel for the game. And it's just overall super good. Love it a lot. We have Hegemony. This is a newer game that I really like. This is a game where you're taking control of a different class in society, and you are trying to complete your objective and have the most victory points. Whenever I played the game, I was the capitalist, so my main job was to make money. I was trying to, buy as many buildings and set up as many different shops in the private sector as I could, and try to entice the working class and the other classes to, buy from me. So super fun. Also really extravagant. It almost felt like a role-playing game to me, which I thought was fun. Very long. So this is definitely, I played this once, so this could go up, could go down, but I like it a lot. Very good. Dinosaur Island Roll and Write. Now, I lied to you guys. I just told you Hadrian's Wall was my favorite roll and write, but I forgot this was on my list, and I do believe this is my favorite one. So sorry about that, but this is Dinosaur Island Roll and Write, which is basically Jurassic Park, the roll and write. And you are trying to create the best dinosaur park, and you're going to be like acquiring new DNA, which allows you to create dinosaurs, which you can then put in your park. You also can get attractions like different food shops and rides that you can draw into your park. And then there's a phase where you give tours and you're taking your participants around the park. And it's really cool. I love this game. I feel like it's very deep for what it is, but it doesn't overstay its welcome ever. And all in all, love this game. Love this game. Okay, so Dune Imperium Uprising. This is, I've only played this once. But I have played Dune Imperium several times, more than 3, so that's also an error, I believe. But yeah, this game is effectively the second Dune movie, whereas Dune Imperium, the original, is like the first Dune movie. So very similar, but this does feel a little more... it feels more open to me. I feel like there's a lot more variability in Uprising. There's a specific CHOAM model that comes with the game that adds tons of variability to it. And overall, I think it feels just, I don't know, more satisfying. Still that same tense feeling that you get from Dune Imperium, but it just kind of adds a little bit more to the original game that I tend to prefer this one. Pandemic Legacy. This is another 9 for me. This game is just the best legacy game I've ever played. We had Pandemic at a 7, I believe, and Pandemic Legacy just really elevates that to the next level. It adds so much, importance on your decisions, and just you feel the weight of every decision you're making. It's just, I don't know. I love the game. It's full of so many unexpected things and twists and turns, and it's so good. Definitely recommend Pandemic Legacy, especially if you like Pandemic. All right, we're down to the top 4. You can already see them, but we'll go through them real quick. Great Western Trail. This is a game where you're selling cows, which is like the weirdest theme, and I just love it. It's so good. It's a game that I played. I've had in my collection for a long time, and I just like it a lot. It kind of went... I didn't play it for a long time, and then played it again, and it sort of reignited my love for the game, and it's just so good. Such a great game. Brass Birmingham. This is a game I haven't played too much, but I can tell and completely understand why this game's number 1 on BGG. It's a game where you're trying to expand your network during the Industrial Revolution. You're trying to, basically make as much money as you can and get as many victory points as you can in true Euro fashion. But all in all, super fun. Love the positive player interaction in the game. And it's very strategic. I don't know. I like it. I like just about everything about this game. It's really good. And I think this could go up with more plays. I actually need to delete that because I played it twice now, but super good. Super good. And then finally, we have Ark Nova and A Feast for Odin. These are my 2 10s, the only 10s that I've given since I've been in the hobby, since September of 2022. I don't know. These games are incredible. Ark Nova is a game where you're building a zoo. Tons of mechanisms in that game that I love. A Feast for Odin is like a very, very big kind of sandboxy style game where you're a Viking clan and you're trying to be the best Viking clan around. And yeah, as you can see, they're goated. These are my babies right here. So far, nothing has squeezed in to the 10 club. Just these two. And yeah, they're incredible. Wow, that was long. Hour and 10 minutes. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up. I'm not going to spend too much more time, but this was every game that I've rated on BGG so far. And this is, how many games is that? 127. So that was a long video. I do appreciate you guys sticking with me. And this is definitely going to be the definitive rating that I have for my games thus far up to this point. And yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Have you played any of these? Do you agree with me on any of these, or do you absolutely hate me for roasting your favorite game? Let me know in the comments below. But this is Jordan here at Totally Bored. We'll see you next time.